Tuesday, November 5th. We've got a jam-packed 11-game slate in the NHL. Let's talk some hockey. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Just a Bet Outside. My name is Karan Thakur, and we've got a busy Tuesday to talk about in the NHL. And shout out to Mr. Bettman for giving us more than 2 games to work with on this beautiful Tuesday. You know, the nice part about a heavy night like this is we can pick and choose our spots. The books, they can't cover everything, so there's a lot more lines out there that we can find value on. But before we get into our best bets for today, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. And if you're new around here, we cover basketball and football as well. So don't forget to go check out those NBA and NFL videos if you haven't already. And with that, let's take a look at how we did on Sunday. So we had a pretty decent day on Sunday. We went 3-2 and we made a small profit. Let's start off with the winners. So bet number 1, we had the Battle of New York. We had the Islanders and the Rangers going over 5.5 at -124 for 1 unit. And this cashed pretty sweat-free for us, so the game ended 5-2. And that was a nice way to start the day off in the afternoon for the 1 p.m. game. And for winner number 2, we had our shot parlay of Anders Lee from the Islanders, William Nylander from the Leafs, and Sebastian Aho from the Carolina Hurricanes to each put up 2 shots on goal. And Lee was the only one who had me a little bit worried. He recorded his second shot pretty late in the third period. But Nylander and Aho had 2 shots in the first period, so once we got through the Lee hurdle, this was also pretty sweat-free. And winner number 3, it was the last game of the night between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Anaheim Ducks. We had Connor Bedard, Troy Terry, and Frank Vatrano to record 2 shots on goal each. And this was as sweat-free as you can get. You know, Bedard and Vatrano, they had 2 shots early in the first period. And Terry, he had his second shot early in the second period, so that was nice. I love when plays like that just wrap up nice and early so we can just go to bed and we don't even have to worry about watching the third period. And then for the 2 losses, starting with the shot parlay of David Pastrnak to record 3 shots on goal, and Brad Marchand and Brandon Montour to record 2 shots on goal each. So Pasta and Montour both got there really easily. I think Pasta had like 7 shots on net and then he got benched for the third period. Montour cleared his shots on goal line. He ended up with 4 or 5. But it was actually Brad Marchand who he hooked us on 1 shot on goal. And that was surprising to see. You know, Marchand had at least 1 shot on goal in all of his games, so I was going to play that alt line with just 1. But recently, he was really hot before this game. He was putting up like 3 or 4 shots in 5 or 6 games in a row. So a little bit unfortunate. You know, we did most of the heavy lifting there, and it was a nice plus 110 number. So would have been good to see that hit, but that's how it goes. And for the second loser of the day, we had Nikita Kucherov and Connor to record 3 shots on goal each in the Jets and Lightning game. And Cooch got there pretty easily. He also had like 4 or 5 shots on goal. But it was Connor who only had 1 shot on goal. But I'm not too unhappy with the read here because he had shots that just missed. And a lot of shots got blocked. I mean, the game plan was pretty clear on the Lightning side to just throw everything in Kyle Connor's way. So again, pretty happy with the reads. Can't complain about a 3-2 day. Another one of those nights where it easily could have just gone 4-1 or 5-0 if we got a couple of bounces here or there. But nonetheless, we move on to the next day. So with that, let's get into the best bets for the night. For the first bet, we've got the 6-5-0 Ottawa Senators traveling to Buffalo to take on the 4-7-1 Sabres. The expected goaltenders for this matchup are Linus Ullmark on the Ottawa Senators side and Luukkonen for the Buffalo Sabres. And these 2 teams played each other 4 times last year, and both teams have split the season series, so they both won 2 games each. But one thing that stuck out right away is all 4 games were high scoring between these 2 teams. So the goal totals were 10, 6, 8, and 8 in all 4 games last year. So the over 5.5, it cashed in all 4. The 6, it would have cashed in 3 of the 4. It would have pushed in 1 of them. And then the over 7.5 would have cashed in 3 of the 4 games as well. I checked the goaltenders for Buffalo in those 4 games, and it looked like Luukkonen was starting in 3 of those 4 games, so it's the same goaltender going up against the Senators again. He gave up 4 goals on 9 shots, 4 goals on 38 shots, and 3 goals on 25 shots. So he was getting lit up pretty good by the Suns last year. And in the fourth game for Buffalo, it was Levi who was starting in goal, and he gave up 4 goals on 30 shots as well. So it just looks like whoever Buffalo throws in net, Ottawa has been finding a way to just light it up. Now, I will say that Ottawa has scored 23 goals this year, which is 17th in the league, just bang average. But this, like I said, this just seems to be one of those matchups where, they have Luukkonen's number and they're just finding ways to score goals on the Sabres regardless of who is in net. So I've got two best bets that I like here. The first one is the Sens team total of over 2.5, which is currently sitting at minus 170 on DraftKings. So if you want to lay the juice, you can take that as a standalone bet if you would like. But I'm parlaying that up personally with the Colorado Avalanche team total of over 2.5, which comes out to plus 114 on DraftKings for 1 unit as a 2 leg parlay. On the Colorado side, the Avs are playing the Seattle Kraken at home in Colorado, and their team total of over 2.5 has hit in all 3 games last year against the Kraken. So I like that quite a bit. I cannot see a game between Colorado and Seattle, especially with Colorado at home and Seattle throwing like Grubauer or Decord in net. I can't see a world where Colorado doesn't put up 3 goals again, just like they were doing in the head-to-head matchups last year. And Colorado did get some good news as well. It looks like Arturi Lehkonen is coming back pretty shortly. Not sure if he'll be available tomorrow night, but good news nonetheless. And they also have Valery Nichushkin, who will be coming off of his absence from the NHL. Let's just put it that way. For the last few months, so some key returns to the Colorado top 6, which is desperately needed. Again, doubt that either of those guys will play tomorrow, but nonetheless, the metrics and the history from last year tell me that the over 2.5 are a pretty solid play for the Colorado team total. So yeah, once again, first best bet of the night. We got a 2 leg parlay. Sens team total over 2.5. Colorado Avalanche team total over 2.5 as well. We smashed that together for a 1 unit play at plus 114 on DraftKings. And for the second best bet of the night, we are sticking with the same game between the Senators and the Buffalo Sabres. I am going with the over 6 goals, the alternate total of over 6 for 1 unit at minus 122 on FanDuel. Now, as mentioned, last year, these two teams, they were playing high-scoring games. The totals, once again, were 10, 6, 8, and 8. So if they just keep that up again, and, it's a pretty big sample size of 4 games. It's not like they just played against each other once or twice. If they keep that up again this year, worst case, we get a push. Best case scenario, this bet hits straight up at minus 122. Not too much juice on it either, so I like that quite a bit. Regardless of who Buffalo throws in net, it looks like Ottawa is able to put pucks away on them. But on the Ottawa side, they have Linus Ullmark in net, and that's the only thing that worries me a little bit. But again, with Buffalo at home, I have a tough time believing that they won't find, 1 or 2 goals at the very least. So I can see this being like a 4-3 game or a 4-2 game or even like a 5-3 or a 5-2 game. I can't expect less than 6 goals in this game, regardless of how the game script plays out. So yeah, second best bet of the night. I love this one. Over 6, 1 unit, minus 122 between the Sabres and the Senators. And for best bet number 3, we are going to Long Island, where the 5-7-1 Pittsburgh Penguins take on the 4-6-2 New York Islanders. The expected goaltending matchup for this game is Nedeljkovic. I have not pronounced that correctly. I am not going to attempt again, but it is Natty in net for the Penguins and Sorokin for the Islanders. Last year, these two teams played each other 4 times, and they split the regular season series 2-2. And the game totals were 9, 9, 7, and 4. So the over doesn't seem like a bad play here. It hit in 3 out of the 4 matchups. With the Isles, they're coming off a 5-2 loss to the New York Rangers at Broadway, and the Pens are coming off a 3-1 home win against the Montreal Canadiens. And my favorite bet here, I'm going to lay off of the over just in case it hits like 5 or 6 just dead on, I'm gonna lay off of it here because the under did hit once last year. But my favorite bet here is the one that surprised me the most during the research. I am taking the Penguins team total of over 2.5. If you want to take that by itself, it's minus 150 on DraftKings. I don't hate that at all. I was honestly just going to give this out as a single play at minus 150. But again, I'm looking to reduce the juice a little bit. So I'm going to parlay that over with the Carolina Hurricanes team total of over 1.5, which brings us to minus 123 for 1 unit. And the reason why I like this play a lot is because last year, the Penguins, in all four of the matchups between the Pens and the Islanders, they faced Ilya Sorokin 4 times in the regular season. And in all 4 games, they scored 3 goals or more. And so far this year, the Penguins, they're 19th in the NHL with 25 goals scored. So, you would think that they're slightly below average, but when you take a look at the advanced metrics, it shows that their expected goals is actually 32.85, which is actually number 1 in the league, ahead of the Oilers, Devils, Canes, and the Rangers. So, I mean, you can take that again on its own for minus 150. I think it should hit. But I like this parlay quite a bit because even Carolina, this year, they haven't scored less than 2 goals in all of their games except 1 game, which was the season opener against the Tampa Bay Lightning at home. Apart from that one-off, Carolina, whether they're at home, whether they're on the road, they have scored at least 2 goals in all of their games. And the head-to-head matchup between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Philadelphia Flyers last year, the over 1.5 team total for Carolina hit in 3 of the 4 head-to-head matchups against the Flyers last year. The only matchup that went under was against Carter Hart. So, I'll take my chances against Samuel Ersson on this one. I expect Carolina to bury at least 2 goals at home against Sammy Ersson. But, I mean, what do I know? Because last time I went up against the mighty Samuel Ersson, he did, I believe, shut us out in Boston, or he gave up like 1 goal in Boston, which was completely wild. But yeah, once again, I like this bet number 3. Pens team total over 2.5. Parlay that up with Carolina Hurricanes team total over 1.5. 1 unit, minus 123 on DraftKings. And that'll do it for today, folks. Let's do a quick bet recap. We've got 3 bets to go over. So bet number 1, we've got the Sens team total of over 2.5 parlayed up with the Colorado Avalanche team total of over 2.5 as well. We are taking that at plus 114 on DraftKings for 1 unit. And then we've got bet number 2, we're taking the over 6 for the Sens and the Buffalo Sabres game at minus 122 on FanDuel for 1 unit as well. And bet number 3, we've got the Pittsburgh Penguins team total of over 2.5. We have parlayed that up with the Carolina Hurricanes team total of over 1.5. And we get that at minus 123 on DraftKings for 1 unit as well. And then a couple of other spots that stuck out just during the research if you want to take these. The Sabres and the Sens first period over of 1.5 hit in all 4 games last year. So that actually might be a finalized play. The Canucks, they swept the Anaheim Ducks 3-0 last year, so their money line hit at a 100% hit rate. And the same thing with the Jackets and the Calgary Flames. The Jackets beat San Jose in both of their head-to-head matchups last year, and the Calgary Flames beat the Montreal Canadiens in both of their head-to-head matchups last year as well. So if those money lines interest you, I just saw that Columbus and Calgary, they're pretty reasonably priced. I think they're sitting around minus 125 to the even number between the two of them. So not the worst looks there. But yeah, once again, keep an eye out on the pinned comment. As always, I'll probably be adding a player or two in there once the player props get released in the morning. And once again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on this video, you guys. We will catch you for the next one. Ain't no motherfucker in this world could do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert